middle of the talk, we'll get it. So, all right, so basically the idea is that I'm going to briefly present Polkadot, what it is for you guys, and then I'm going to discuss Moonbeam, right? And so basically, I don't know if you're familiar with Polkadot. A lot of people are, but Polkadot, it is called a relay chain or layer 0, however you want to call it. And the main idea is that it offers sort of like economic model around securing different parachains or blockchains that connect to it. So I like to see it as a hub, as a central hub, where other parachains can provide specific functionalities to the ecosystem. So one of the things I came to realization is that Polkadot is nothing without the parachains, but the parachains are nothing without Polkadot. They need each other. But what are the parachains, right? I've used this term, but I didn't introduce it. And so basically parachains are, the name comes from parallel blockchains, and they're this different like ecosystem blockchains that connect to Polkadot as a hub, and they provide the functionalities to the ecosystem as a whole. If you're not familiar with Polkadot, Polkadot does not really offer a lot of like stuff for end users. It has staking, it has governance, but there's like no way to build dApps on top of it, right? And then it relies on these parachains as a source of these like end user functions. And so Moonbeam is just one of these parachains in the whole Polkadot ecosystem. They might be different parachains out there. They are like privacy focused, bridge focused, Oracle focused, and our parachain is based on smart contracts. So we want to be a smart contract hub that it's mainly like our focus is to be Ethereum compatible. So we want to provide the most Ethereum frictionless environment out there. And so the idea is that Polkadot, like I said, it has two main benefits. I personally think that. One of them is being this hub to ensure block finality. So parachains only produce blocks, and then Polkadot will ensure that the state transition between the blocks, it's actually valid. And the other cool thing is that because there's this intrinsic relationship between the parachains and Polkadot, is that enables, the screen is doing weird things, so hopefully it gets connected. So hopefully then there's this intrinsic relationship between the parachains and the blockchain and the relay chain. It enables features such as XCM. And XCM is sort of like, there's things that it's not a protocol, it's a message, but in general for end users or developers, what they really need to understand is that is a way for these blockchains to communicate with each other natively. So there's no bridge, no relayers, no source of trust in this sort of sense. If you're already trusting Polkadot to finalize your blocks, you can also trust in the XCM features that it brings. And so with that, what is Moonbeam? So Moonbeam, like I said before, it's a smart contract compatible parachain in the Ethereum compatible parachain in the Polkadot ecosystem. Everything that I speak today is also valid for Moonriver, which is our deployment on Kusama. So they're basically sister networks. But we like to say that we're a bit more than just another Ethereum chain, right? I mean, a lot of chains out there offer Ethereum compatibility, and so I want to try to convince you today of why Moonbeam compared to other ones, right? So first of all, we're built with Substrate. If you're not familiar with Substrate, you can ask actually Joshi. He's very familiar with Substrate. And so basically Substrate is a framework to build blockchains. And the cool thing is that if you build with Substrate, it is relatively straightforward to connect to Polkadot and benefit from Polkadot. And so that is one cool thing about this extra layer on top of our EBM implementation. Next, you have Web3 support. So we have a full Web3 RPC support, meaning that all the JSON RPC from ETH, it works flawlessly with Moonbeam, right? This unlocks a lot of potential. For example, MetaMask, you can connect it to Moonbeam flawlessly without even thinking about it. And so it is very, very straightforward when you want to work with Moonbeam in this sort of sense. And we have even gone a little bit further, and we actually support like tracing RPC, which is also it's needed by a lot of like advanced dApps or something like the Graph, Etherscan, and so on. The next cool thing is that we have a unified account system. This means that on Substrate uses a different account system that is based on SR25549. And basically, we modify the underlying account system so that it's fully Ethereum compatible. It uses ECDSA. So, there is no like two accounts to interact with Substrate and with the Ethereum compatible part. It is very native, very frictionless. And the last part of the puzzle, which is we've worked really hard, not only from a text perspective, but also from like an ecosystem perspective, is all the dev tools and integrations, right? We have a great documentation site where you can find a lot of demos of how to use Hardhat, how to use Truffle, how to use Remix. Every single Ethereum development tool that you've like worked and love, you can actually use it on Moonbeam flawlessly. So yeah, this is not working. I'm actually disconnected because I'm getting weird like screen flickering. So basically, the idea is that you can work and use all the tools that you know and love on Moonbeam flawlessly. And so the question is now, why Moonbeam, right? Why do you want to pick Moonbeam? And so the idea is that we combine the power of Substrate, meaning that we're natively connected to Polkadot, and you can use XCM stuff, and then to also combine with like a seamless Ethereum experience, right? So if you want to onboard to Polkadot, we're probably the easiest way you can onboard and tap into the Polkadot ecosystem. So another cool feature of Substrate is that it has governance, it has staking. So there's a lot of really nice features that Substrate brings, and so that's why we want to be part of Substrate. But we also want to offer a place where Ethereum developers don't have to worry about what is Substrate, what is the tools that I need to work with. It'll be basically flawless and frictionless. So the next topic is so basically the ecosystem, the composability. So I think one of the most beautiful things that Ethereum has as a blockchain is the composability, right? You have a lot of projects that are deployed there, and they can work together and make basically limitless combinations, right? I think, I heard Vitalik in a podcast, is like, he never imagined what, DeFi was going to grow into. It's like a huge monster that grew up out of nowhere. And so it is really, really cool to see, all the composability that Ethereum has. And so we want to bring that to Moonbeam. And so since we started, we definitely started looking into what developers wanted and needed. And one of the things they needed, it's not only, oh yeah, EVM, cool, you have that. Oh cool, yeah, Web3 RPC. They need tools to work on top of. They need a good block explorer like Etherscan. They need, like indexers such as the Graph and Covalent. They need a lot of projects need multi-sig wallets such as Gnosis, for example. So we wanted to bring all these sort of like building blocks so they can have everything that they need to work on. And for us, the best feedback we can get is the feedback from developers saying, hey, this is not working. That is like a red flag for us, and we'll start working tirelessly just to make sure that you have that feature for you, right? And so one really cool thing is that we've built an ecosystem that it not only consists about these tools, but you can also see projects like SushiSwap, which deployed on Moonriver, and I think it shortly will deploy on Moonbeam. You have Curve Finance, they deployed on Monday. It was really exciting to see that. And so you have all these separate building blocks like lending protocols, DEXs, stable DEXs, stable coins such as Frax, and like bridges, oracles, everything working together to make sure that you have, like the title of the talk, we've bootstrapped an interoperable ecosystem, Ethereum-compatible ecosystem on Polkadot. So how do we bring Ethereum compatibility into a substrate-based chain, right? And this is just probably the most technical part of the talk, and it's not really technical. So the idea, if you're familiar of how the Ethereum RPC, like the Ethereum communication layer works, I'm not going to talk like low level. This is very, very high level. But basically, any user developer tool or any wallet or anything, what's happening is that they provide a very nice, clean interface, right, for ETH JSON RPC. It's like underneath, what's going on is that there's a JSON RPC request to an Ethereum node, and the node understands that request, and it's able to provide a response. And so basically, when MetaMask wants to like fetch the balance of an account, right, it uses the ETH get balance, saying, I want to get this account's balance on the latest block, and it'll get a response. It understands the response, and it displays it nicely to the user. And that's basically how it works. I mean, it's not that simple, but that's basically how it works, right? And so what we did is that we built this sort of like technology stack in the middle using a parity project called Frontier that we've worked like very actively on this project because it's a core part of our technology. And so the idea is this. Basically, you don't have to worry about it. So if you're an Ethereum developer, if you're an Ethereum user, you're going to use your same ETH JSON RPCs. If you're very hardcore and want to do the JSON RPC, like the curl commands yourself, you can do that. And the Moonbeam node will understand that. There's a lot of middle layers working to make sure that that gets mapped into a substrate runtime call. We have Ethereum emulated blocks, and so back and so forth. And so the idea is that you have to don't worry about it, and you'll get a response that is basically what your dApp, what you're expecting. And so that's why you can grab Truffle, Hard Hat, Remix, MetaMask, just plug it in, add a networking hard hat, deploy, and it will just work straight out of the box. So that's the beauty of it, honestly. And so what does this mean? And I had a really cool meme about all this, but I mean, you're not able to see it, sadly. But the idea is that, if you just send a JSON, I had an example of a JSON RPC command, curl RPC saying the ETH get balance. Alice will get his balance shown in MetaMask flawlessly without any sort of like weird integration or anything. So who is building on Moonbeam? Like I said before, we're truly excited about the ecosystem we're putting together. So for us, like I said, it's key not to just say we're Ethereum compatible, that's it, we're great. It's about making sure that the ecosystem as a whole is complete. So our BD team has worked tirelessly to make sure that we have a lot of great projects building on top of, you have explorers, wallets, infrastructure providers, bridges, dev tools, assets and issuance, DeFi. DeFi has been, probably the first building block that started on Moonriver and now on Moonbeam. So, if you're an app that needs to build on top of those dependencies, you could straightforward go for it and start building on top, right? So, one of the things that I think we'll see next on Moonriver and Moonbeam is DEX aggregators, right? Right now you can only interact with DEXs directly, but now the building blocks are set so like aggregators could start, working on top of that layer. So we'll see. It's just like, it's impossible to predict the future. And so we have two networks, like I mentioned. We have Moonbeam on Polkadot, we have Moonriver on Kusama, and we have been blown away about the adoption that we've seen in the first months. Moonbeam launched 1 month ago, and we have 2.2 million network transactions, 153,000 wallets, 32 million glimmers, which is a token of Moonbeam, are locked in our staking palette. So basically, this is roughly $160 million securing the block production mechanism. And we have more than 1,000 ERC20 tokens deployed. Right now, I think the current TVL, I would put it around $200 million, and this is only in the first month. Moonriver has been live for, I think, 6 months roughly, so end of August. And we've seen 14 million network transactions, 500,000 wallets, 1.2 million mover tokens, which is the protocol token, locked on staking, and then more than 2,000 ERC20 tokens. A lot of NFT stuff going on in Moonriver is really exciting to see. And I think the TVL in Moonriver is roughly $220 million. And I think we still need to add some projects to DeFi Llama, because I think we're missing like 150 million in TVL for sure. So in the last part of the presentation, I wanted to talk about Polkadot and in the interoperability. So I think if you followed the presentation from the start, you know that one of the big promises of Polkadot and Kusama is about interoperability, right? There's no need to rely on a bridge. We've seen what happened recently with bridges. That's something that users need to understand that there's certain risks. But Polkadot and Kusama offers sort of like native interoperability that you don't have to worry about if you're already trusting, the block finalization mechanism. And so I think that the idea is that Moonbeam can be the gateway for dApp developers building natively applications on Moonbeam to access other members of the ecosystem, right? So we can see dApps that can just reach out to other parachains with storage, privacy, oracles, and then we will see truly like native interoperable applications, hopefully starting with Kusama, but then moving on to Polkadot. And so that will be truly exciting to see. And I do, like I said before, I do think that this is going to be the year where XEM gets like unleashed, right? It has been pretty exciting because we actually launched XEM features on Moonriver first early this year. And we launched something called the XC20. So it's another like brand of ERC20. And so basically the thing is that when you create an asset in a substrate chain, so remember that substrate is the framework that we use to build Moonriver. So basically the idea is that these assets are natively interoperable, right? So if you build an ERC20 in our EVM, that is not native interoperable because it lives in the EVM. So this substrate asset can move around freely, sort of freely inside the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem. But we always being Moonbeam, we was like, we need to add an Ethereum twist to it. Because if not, we're not focused on Ethereum compatibility. So we created something called the XC20s, which are basically this ERC20 token assets, but basically with, this substrate assets with an ERC20 interface. The exciting thing about this is that any developer, any user can just add this XC20 to their MetaMask. We've been seeing a lot of DEXs adding these XC20 tokens to their platforms, to their DEX platforms. And so, if you think about it, I do believe that there's going to be lending built on top of us. And so this unlocks a little bit more than just like a substrate asset that it's interoperable, right? It really allows this EVM dApps to tap into this interoperable world that it's just like brought to you by Substrate, basically. So it is really exciting to see right now. River, our first 2 tokens that we moved is XE KSM, which is Kusama. And I think we have around 8,000 KSMs on Moon River. And I think we have around 500,000 XE Remarks, which is like the ERC20 token, more or less, of a really cool NFT project on Kusama. So it's really great to see the engagement that we've had. So yeah, sadly, I was not able to show you the slides. You can actually find them on Bitly. It's bit.ly. It's Moon ETH Denver 22. So you can find the slides there. I'll probably be in the next hour or so in the hallway. If you have any questions about Moonbeam, you can come build with us for sure. You can visit our website, moonbeam.network. In there, you'll find a lot of resources, Telegram channels, Discord. My name is Alberto. If you can find me in Telegram, it's AlbertoV19. Be careful because I guess I'm famous enough that we have impersonators. So, you have to click the right one if you don't want to get an impersonator. I'm happy to talk to you about, convincing you to build on Moonbeam and tap into the Polkadot ecosystem. So thanks for your attention.